Hi, and welcome to the Traveling Knitter channel. This episode video is going to be my October wrap-up, which is where I talk about the books that I've read in the month of October. I read a total of 13 books, which is fitting since 13 is kind of a spooky number. I'm very proud of that. I am pretty much almost at my Goodreads goal. So honestly, I think maybe in like the next week, I'll have finished it because of mangas that I'm reading. So let's just get into it. The first book that I read on audiobook, and it was Ethel Rosenberg, An American Tragedy by Anne Siva. I have my notes because most of these are no longer in my possession because they are either library books or audiobooks. So this Ethel Rosenberg book is essentially a look back at the trial of the Rosenbergs. And the reason why I thought to read this book is one of the podcasts I listen to is called History Extra, and it's BBC. It's a ton of history. It comes out pretty much every day. So if you're like an avid podcast listener and you feel like you never have enough and you like history, check this one out because there's a ton of content. So they had the author on one of those episodes talking about her book, and I had like heard of the Rosenberg trial, but not really anything else. I just knew it was like Russian spies. So the book kind of goes through where Ethel comes from, like her family, how she gets married, has kids, and really the speculation of her involvement with being a Russian spy. I don't think it gives it away, but Ethel is executed, and it's fascinating how little evidence there was, and how like someone who seems to be more involved with the Russians in the capacity of being a spy for communism or for communist Russia, how they were able to just provide evidence to frame their sister and how they aren't as harshly punished, whereas Ethel and her husband are executed, and her brother is not, because he basically provides evidence for them. So it's just fascinating. I will say I thought this book could have been better in that the way that it was written just felt like a high school essay. I felt like I was just being told over and over and over again the main points of the story. I got my thesis at the beginning, and then I got the 3 reasons, and then I got a recap of those same 3 reasons at the end. And this is a book. I don't need that. I'm not dumb. The book's only like 200, 300 pages. I'm not gonna forget that. So, I just wasn't a fan of the way that the book was written, because I felt like I felt like it was maybe written for a younger audience, yet I'm pretty sure it's not. So I gave it 3 stars. The next book I want to talk about, and I do have this book, is The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. This is a National Book Award finalist, and I bought this book in New York City the last time I went. This was a very interesting book. very interesting. So our main character, who I'm pretty sure you never learn her name. You really don't learn anyone's name in this book. Like, I don't think you get the main character's name. So the main character, she is a writer, and she lives on this island where things just disappear, which is a weird concept, but essentially, like, one day there are birds, just like a normal world, and then the next day the birds just start disappearing, and people like start forgetting what birds are, and anyone that has a bird it lets them go, because everyone has this feeling and they understand, okay, birds are the next disappearing thing, so I must get rid of the bird. And it's not like the birds are gone, because like the main character even like sees a bird and she's like, I don't know, what is that? I don't know. And then it's like, oh, that's a bird that is forgotten and no longer, it is a missing thing. So that's just what they go through. And there is something called the memory police, and they gave me like Nazi Gestapo vibes. They weren't as violent, it seemed, but they would like go into your home and just take you, kind of like Gestapos and Jewish people, just removing the Jewish people. So that had some parallels to it. And right at the beginning, there are people who don't forget things, and our main character's mother was one of those. Now, our main character lives alone. Her mom and her dad are no longer there, and her like adult figure, now she is an adult, but her adult figure is the old man, and he lives on this, like, he used to be a ferryman, but the ferry is a forgotten thing. So he kind of helps her build things. If anything is broken in her house, he'll come and help, and she goes over and will make him food, and you know, it's like they have this strong bond of companionship. And our main character finds out that her editor is one of those people who doesn't forget things, and so she, with the help of her friend, decide to hide the editor before the memory police take him. And really, like, things happen, but it's not a super suspenseful book. And yet, I don't know why I liked it so much. I ended up giving this 4 stars. And I started reading this in the line for ice cream, and that line ended up being half an hour long. So I got, gosh, a good like 60 pages done in that line. And this was great. This was a very fast read, and I would recommend it. Like, I'd say read this book. It's really good. It is translated, and the translator is Stephen Snyder. Another audiobook I listened to is Dead Voices by Catherine Arden. I'm just making my way through all of Catherine Arden's books, actually. I have one left, and then I'll have read every single one of her books. And that one that I have left to read is actually, I think it's coming out this month. So I can't read it, really. But anyway, Dead Voices is the second in the Small Spaces series. It's her middle grade thriller, scary, spooky book. It follows 3 friends, and I think they're calling him is he the smiling man? So in the first book is where you are introduced to the 3 friends, and they're on a school field trip, and all of their school friends get turned into scarecrows, and so they have to save the day, and that's when they meet the Smiling Man. And so the second one is set in like a lodge, and it's pretty creepy. It deals with ghosts rather than scary scarecrows, but I really enjoy them. On audio, I think they're less than 6 hours to get through. So if you're looking for like a Halloweeny book that you want to listen to, especially if you want to listen, with younger kids, definitely check these books out. So I gave Dead Voices 4 stars. And then I started my manga path. So the first set of mangas that I read were Haru Red, or Haru Red. This is book 5. I didn't read book 5 in the month of October, but I already returned 1 through 4, which is what I read. So I read 4, and this is by Io Sakisaka, and honestly, this is adorable. I love shoujo novels or shoujo mangas, and they're basically like slice of life set in high school typically, which I am far out of high school, but they're just so cute. I love them. So with this series, you have, what are the main characters' name? Another thing about manga is that they typically do a character recap. Okay, so our main character, my stuff is just gonna fall. Is her name Futaba or Futaba? I'm not sure how to pronounce, but Futaba and Co. And they met in middle school and had like a thing, but something happened where he stood her up, and then he went to a different school. And then they meet again in high school, but she's decided to completely change her image and be more tomboyish instead of being, like a delicate flower girl, so that people like her, because in middle school she had no friends. So yeah, it's really cute. It's about how, being true to yourself, and the whole like, I like you, but he doesn't like me. Actually, he does like me, but I don't like him. I just think it's so cute. So right now I'm giving the series 4 stars, but I'm really, really liking it. And according to Goodreads and some reviews, this is apparently one of the top like slice of life shoujo romance, right? It's not like adult romance, like it's teen romance, right? But I like it because I feel like it's not like super cringy. Like some can be really annoying, but I find that the internal monologue that's inside of the characters' heads aren't like dumb teenage inside voices. Like their thoughts to me make sense. Like I relate and understand why they're afraid to say certain things, or after a person leaves that they're frustrated that they didn't say something, or that they did say something and it was taken the wrong way, or what have you. So I really like this. I think this is fantastic. So like I said, I'm giving them all 4 stars right now. I'm not sure how many are in the series, but I did get the next 4 in the series from the library. So I'll be reading those very soon. Another manga series that I started is a lot darker, and definitely not the typical manga that I read, but I felt like getting some manga from the library, and this one was available. They had several of in the volume, what am I trying to say? They had several volumes in the series, and so I placed them on hold and grabbed them. And what I'm talking about is Noragami Stray God, and I read 1 through 4 of this, and this is by Adachitoka. 1 and 2 I rated 3 stars. 3 and 4 I rated 4 stars. So this is, I don't know, would this be called shonen? Shoujo is geared towards girls, and shonen is geared towards boys. I'm not sure if this is considered shonen, but either way, you have our main character Hiyori, who, same thing, the people at her school were just really mean to her, not nice at all, and just bullied her. And she was in the bathroom and sees this phone number on the bathroom stall, and it says call for help or something. And so she calls, and it is this god Yato. And Yato is a lesser god, but his goal is to do favors for anyone and everyone to get people to worship him until he becomes a bigger god, and have people, worship at a shrine and all that stuff, or even have a shrine. And so he helps her by, instead of everyone bullying her, everyone just doesn't think about her. So not quite the thing that she wants, but either way. And what ends up happening is somehow she turns into this halfling thing. So in the world, there are these demon type things. And so the gods will fight those demons. And she essentially is now half of one. And so people just think she has narcolepsy because she just falls asleep anywhere and everywhere, but really it's her ghost body, and then she goes off and goes on adventures. And so she's trying to get Yato to fix her, to make her be a complete human. So that's why she's still palling around with him. And at some point, I'm not sure in what book, she just thinks he's just not willing. He's just blowing her off, but really he has no idea how to fix this. So he's doing these other things, and he'll be somewhere and he'll ask someone hey, do you know what I can do to fix this situation with Hiyori? And then in, I think, book 2, you're introduced to Yukine, and Yukine is this, it's almost like he's partners with Yato, and when Yato says his name, he turns into a sword, and then he, as the sword is used to slay the demons, basically. If you've read books like this or manga like this, you probably are oh my gosh, you're not using the words. There's a whole thing. This is not a new concept, but it's normally not the kind of books or manga that I read. So it's kind of new to me, but I am enjoying it. I think these are really good. They're kind of gory, bloody, a bit more adult than the shoujo manga that I was reading, but still well worth a read. And then I read another middle grade book, and that was Wishes and Wellingtons by Julie Berry. This was cute. So this is about Maeve Merritt, who lives at this boarding school and she has a home. She's not an orphan. Lives at the boarding school, and she's roommates with her best friend Alice, and she finds a genie in a sardine can in the trash. So she becomes its master. The genie is not very nice and tricks her, and so she ends up unwittingly using more of her wishes than she meant to. But she teams up with the boy across the street who is in an actual orphanage. his name is, Tom. Tom. So they all become friends. Alice a little bit more reluctantly because, you know, she's more of an upright, soon-to-be lady. And yeah, so it's just like them having adventures and trying to get people to not steal the genie. And yeah, so like in the description, you're like, there's a mysterious tall man, it's a disgruntled school worker, take no prisoners, business tycoon. You like you don't get introduced to the mysterious tall man or the school worker until like more than halfway through this book. So the description is a little bit weird. You do meet the business tycoon because that is her like nemesis at the school's dad, and he finds out that she has a genie and he wants it, so he threatens her. The ending is pretty cute with how it gets like all fixed. I did enjoy the ending. Ultimately though, I did give it 3 stars because I found it very predictable. You kind of knew really how all of this was going to be solved, and also who the mysterious person was. And to be honest, I also figured out who the neighbor was like immediately. So it wasn't really like you could put the clues together, but still I enjoyed it. I thought it was cute. I don't think I'm gonna buy the next book in the series. I think it's just a duology, so I'll read it though. I might just get it on my Kindle and read it, or I'll get it on audiobook, either or. But I'm probably going to just take this to Half Price Books, but I did enjoy it. And then the last book I read, yep, one more. It was an audiobook, and it was the next Jackie Faber book. So that was Under the Jolly Roger, being an account of the further nautical adventures of Jackie Faber by L.A. Mayer. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. So does it make sense to like keep going with the descriptions of these books because it is a series? And you know, I don't know if it really spoils the previous ones, other than the fact that the second one takes place in a boarding school and this one does not. So you're kind of like, oh, something happened. But anyway, this one is just great. She's off on the seas again, so she's back on the boat. She's back on boats, but not disguised this time. So she is her authentic self. And yeah, I liked it. She then comes back on land. There is a misunderstanding, which is going to happen over and over and over and over again in all these books, which it's just like a theme. I enjoy it. Yeah, so anyway, I liked it, loved it actually. I gave it 5 stars, and I can't wait to listen to the next one because the next one, I believe, is In the Belly of the Bloodhound, and that one was my favorite the first time I read through these books. So we'll see. Is it still my favorite? Probably. Yeah. So those are all the books that I read in the month of October. It was a very successful October. It was a busy October, but as you can kind of see, 1, 2, 3 of those books were audiobooks, and 8 of them were manga. And manga take like not even an hour to read one. So a little fudging on how many books I read, but you know what? My channel, my rules. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you like this kind of thing, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe, all that jazz. If you have any questions or thoughts about any of the books, leave them down below because I will definitely answer you unless I miss it, and then I apologize for not answering you. All my social media would have been at the beginning, but if you're interested in what I'm reading and just like to see books and stuff, highly recommend Goodreads. I am super active on Goodreads. I don't do a lot of commenting, but I am constantly updating my to be read list. I currently have like 3,400 books on my to be read list. Yes, I will never read them, but I just like, you know, if I have see something interesting, I add it. Then I don't have to remember. It's all there. Okay, thank you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.